Hey there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kelly and John. Today, our guest is Marcella Silva, and she has a fascinating story and fascinating job that I think anybody would really be interested in that I don't know a lot about it. So, you are a land real estate person?
Land banker.
Okay, land banker is the name of it. So, can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's say what is land banking, first of all. So,
Okay.
land banking is the definition and the practice of buying affordable, pre-developed land located in the path of growth. It's something that people have done throughout history, maybe not really realizing what they were doing. Mostly the wealthy have done it because you really got to know what you're doing to do it correctly. It's buying land when it's affordable. I mean, most people have probably seen land banking happen before their eyes in their lifetime. If you consider the area maybe where you live now or where you grew up, where at one point it looked a lot different than it does today, where there was
Mhm.
open spaces of land and now it's all developed. So to simply buying the land in the path of growth.
Okay, and the idea is to hold on to it until somebody wants it, and then you can sell it for a lot more. Is that it?
Tremendous amounts more. Sell
Ah,
or lease, there's lots of different opportunities.
Well,
ah,
yeah, because I mean, not everybody is looking to invest money for 10 years before they get their return back. Some people
right.
want to do it for 4 years, six, a shorter period of time. But of course, the potential, and you can correct us on this, would be less, or the risk might be higher. Hard to say.
All just depends. And I always tell my customers, this is a long-term investment. It's through the natural
Yeah.
growth and progression of areas. And,
Hmm.
so preparing with long-term investable funds, it's a diversification piece. And what's happening right now around energy sources is causing the largest land rush in history. And so the growth and development is happening a lot faster as a
Huh.
result.
Well, so how would one go about getting in on this gold rush, land rush?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny that you call it gold rush because today's dirt is tomorrow's gold. That's one of my favorite taglines.
Ah, okay.
And I mean, I always recommend people to start at the basics, learn what this thing is all about, the who, what,
Right.
where, when, why, all of that situation. And so I have a webinar that people can watch to get all of those basic details to learn more about this.
Oh,
And all the
wow. Yeah,
links
we'll
are in the
definitely put your website. Dirt is gold. Is that what the website is? Dirt is gold. We'll put that in the description below so people can check you out and learn more. So I'm wondering, like, can a group of people invest in one parcel, or is it just really, is it on the stock market where you can just like go and invest a little bit of money, or do you like really need to buy the whole piece?
Sure. Yeah, good question. Thank you, Kelly. So our investors are buying the properties. They get the grant deed and title insurance, and our investment amounts start as little as 25,000. So people, I've found a lot of people can afford it on their own. Otherwise, we do have a lot of people who partner together to acquire properties that they may not have been able to otherwise. And so that's also been a unique opportunity for people. And I would say probably 80% of my customers use self-directed IRAs to invest. So it's people who have these 401ks and IRAs that are sitting there really not performing for them. They want to put it to work. And there's something called a self-directed IRA, which I've found a lot of people are not familiar with. And you can actually move your money into that and invest in things like land. So
Okay.
it's
Well,
been helpful in
it's like
skyrocketing.
it's like you said, and I forget who might have been the originator of it many years ago, but they're not making any more land, so
Exactly.
it is a
Yeah.
great it's always been a great investment, unless you were buying swampland in New Jersey or Florida. But even nowadays, swampland in the town I grew up in Secaucus, they made fun of it because a chunk of it was on the swamps. Now there are entire developments and high-rise buildings and
Mm.
malls and hospitals and complete industrial areas. And again, and residential areas on it too. You know, what one time they laughed at, they're not laughing anymore.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
those landowners were smart.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, who owns the land that people are buying? Is it government land and then people are buying from the government, or like who owns it to begin with?
No, no, definitely you can't buy government land. And so the company that I represent, they've been doing this for 47 years, and they specialize in doing all the research and acquisition of the properties, finding where these high growth areas are based
Mhm.
on a huge criteria, and then acquiring the land. So doing all of the research and due diligence on the land, because land is not created equal. Land is not like housing, whereas two pieces of two homes right next to each other are typically around the same value based off of comps. With land, you can't do that. Two pieces of land next to each other could be worlds apart in value, where one property is developable and one is not. And so that's why land has typically been considered a speculative investment, because people don't know how to do the research on it. And it's a buyer beware investment. You got to figure it out yourself. So having a, very experienced, well-researched company behind it to get the properties, make it easy. It's basically a plug and play opportunity for people. So we have the inventory of properties that are available for people to purchase in all different price ranges.
Oh, so you're a good person to know
okay,
if you
well
want to get into this.
Yeah.
let's start at the beginning. When did you get into this? How did you get into this?
Yeah.
Sure, thank you. So I used to be a software engineer, was recruited straight out of college to work at Lawrence Livermore National Labs that are here in the San Francisco Bay Area. So that's how I ended up in California. I was born and raised in New Mexico. And I worked there for close to 10 years. And back in 2007, the lab went through a huge transition. And they used to be run by University of California. Then they switched over to a large private conglomerate. And as a result of that, they changed all of the benefits. So at the time, I had to make a decision. Do I take my old 401k and roll it into the new 401k program that they were putting together? Or do I do something else with it? And guys, I vividly remember sitting at my kitchen table, looking at my 401k statement, thinking to myself, the only way this goes up is when I put money into it. This is just silliness. I'm never going to be able to retire at this rate. And what the heck is it even invested in anyways? And who's really making the money? So I knew I had to do something different if I wanted to achieve a better outcome. And I wanted a real asset, tangible asset that I could see, that I could touch, and that would actually go up in value without me having to put money into it. So that started me on the journey of finding a good real estate investment, because real estate is kind of the obvious tangible asset.
Mhm.
And if you're familiar with California real estate, you know that a lot of wealth has been created with it. So I started, doing my research, going to seminars, reading books. I even got my real estate license. All the meanwhile, I'm working as a software engineer, just educating myself about the different investment opportunities out there. And along the way, I was like, tenants, toilets, termites. I don't want to do it. That sounds like a lot of efforting and stress. Not to say that it's bad or that it's wrong. It just wasn't for me. That's not what I was looking for. Other opportunities were like, do fix and flips and that type of thing. I wasn't interested in creating a job. I just wanted an investment that I could put my money in, that it would grow in value, again, without me having to effort over it or put more money into it. And eventually along the way, I found somebody who started telling me about land banking. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I actually had a very natural affinity towards it because I grew up watching my parents invest in land. Although they never taught me what they did, it was just something I was aware of. So it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer for me. And I went and learned all about it, and it was like instant gut feeling. Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I took my old 401k via a self-directed IRA and bought my first property.
Okay,
Wow.
now let me throw this out there a couple of places. Now, first of all, You had said you lived in New Mexico. I was in Santa Fe for about 9 years. I
Oh,
lived in,
okay.
and that was a very good land investment that I made at that time.
Oh, awesome.
You know, but that's what you see. But so that's what I'd like to talk to you about. Um, is it literally buying land and then hoping that a developer will come and buy that land and develop it, build a community or something like that? Or is it investing in apartment buildings? No, I see you shaking your
It's
head.
dirt. No
It's
Land.
effort.
dirt. It's
Land.
No
dirt.
putting money into it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Apartments, that's a lot of work.
So right, I was gonna say so minimal amount of maintenance on
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And
like
so,
no
but
maintenance.
is it buying land and then getting a developer interested or hoping that a developer? No, no, yes.
So it's land in the path of growth. And the
Okay,
path of growth is determined based off of economic trends, understanding of development. I mean, there's
sure.
a
I mean,
long list.
I saw that happen in New Mexico in the few years that I was there. The just to go, how it was growing specifically Santa Fe south into the desert. It no longer mattered. It just kept
Keeps on
sprawling,
growing.
no
Yep.
matter which way you're going toward down towards Albuquerque area, and
Sure.
then Albuquerque was sprawling east and west
Sure.
along Route 40. So it was. I could see that this, and I'm assuming that this is still going on, that no matter what kind of recession or any kind of dip in whether it's the market or the industry, uh, land is certainly you don't want to buy it 200 miles away from what's being developed, but 10 miles away is certainly a good idea, you know.
Yeah. Well, and not all land is good land for investment. Not all areas are great areas for
Right.
land investing. For us, we have to be in an area where there has to be minimum of 6 to 7 economic trends causing that area to grow. It's not just, oh, it looks like population is growing in this area, I'm going to buy it. There has
Right.
to be so much more. That way, downturns or black swan events like pandemics, those types of things don't affect the growth and development from happening.
Right.
So, multiple different trends causing these areas to grow, and that just proliferates more and more development.
Okay.
Is any of the land ever purchased with the idea of it being having a lot of minerals or resources that they could develop the land that way, or is that something that already you would know
Yeah, so we're buying it for the space on top, for the usage of the
to
dirt.
develop
Yeah,
for a
to
community
develop it.
or something?
Right.
Exactly. That's where the
Okay.
money is being made. We're not speculating that, oh, we're gonna find a bunch of gold in the dirt or anything like that. That sounds like a lot of
Get a
efforting
shovel and
again.
start digging for your dirt through your dirt.
So much dirt digging.
Okay. Okay. Well, what are a couple of the criteria that you look for without giving the whole thing away? I know you have a webinar, so we can point people to watch that. But what are
Yeah.
a few things that you look for to tell if it's good land?
Yeah, yeah. Well, there the aspects of the economics part of it is we want a lot of population, a little bit of land. Also, we want strong industry in an area. So, for example, we're investing within 60 miles of deep water ports. Deep water ports are important for the consumer industry, goods going in and out. Well, if you consider it, goods coming in, they don't just stay at the ports, they end up at massive distribution facilities and that type of thing. So, understanding where those types of developments are going. Also, in relation to the industrial aspect of things, is e-retailing. Everybody buying stuff on Amazon.
Mm.
Or it takes 1.25 million square feet of industrial, warehousing to make $1 billion in online sales. So knowing where these types of developments are going as well. Then you have to have the infrastructure there. Where are the roads? Where are the airports? Where are the railroads? All of
Water.
that. Where
Water
is
is a
the
big
water?
factor.
Where
Yeah,
is affordable housing?
right.
Because the population is still growing.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
knowing a lot of these different aspects, and then on top of that, was causing the largest land rush in history, which I'm not going to get into right now, but it's the laws too and the
Right.
mandates.
Right. Is there, and again, without giving too much away, is there a a geographic region of the country that you have found beneficial, profitable?
100%. So we only invest in California and more specifically Southern California. So as of
Wow.
1998, quite a few years ago, there was less than 2% of California's land left to be developed. Less
I
than
believe
2%.
we believe that Kelly and I both lived in LA
Okay.
in those years. Well, I got there in '99. I don't know when you got
I
there,
was there
Kelly.
in 86.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
geez. Okay. And I left in 13 or so. Uh,
Well, my
so
attraction to moving there was when I was a kid, we had visited my aunt and uncle who lived in Anaheim. Or no, not Anaheim, Garden Grove. And when they retired, they sold their house and lived like kings and moved back to Ohio because they made so much money in their house. Now, I didn't go there with the idea that I'm going to buy a house and make a bunch of money, but I just thought kind of in the back of my mind, that's how it works. I just wanted to live where the weather was good.
right,
Which is what a lot of people want. That's the attraction to California that no one else can replicate. You can't replicate that anywhere else. The beach, the mountains, the weather,
right.
all the industry, the activity, the Hollywood scene. You just
National
can't
park. Yes.
replicate
All
that
Not at
anywhere
all.
else. I mean, I guess some of it you can, but most of it you can't. So that makes sense. So there was 2% of land available in 1998 or not developed.
Yeah,
And
left to be developed in
and
1998. So
so
that's
how
why
is
California
that?
real estate's so expensive.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. But there is, further north. So I knew a guy years ago who used to invest in, I forget the name of the county. It's north of LA, it's Santa Clarita, Palmdale. He bought like just land in that area, those areas, and he would always tell me about it. And I'd be like, I was really young and didn't know how anything worked. So I was like, why would you buy that? There's nothing there. And
right.
he's probably made a ton of money
That's
on it because
right.
they're just keep developing further and further north.
Is
Um,
okay. And again, without going into too much detail, because we'd prefer that people would log on to your
yeah,
webinar and
and learn from you.
learn from you. But is there a short term? Is there a long term? Uh, benefits to each? Is there a middle?
Sure. Well, if only I had the crystal ball, John.
There you go.
And
Okay.
and with that said, there like I said, the natural growth and progression of a city takes time. So there's land that's needed for housing. There's land that's needed for mixed use developments. There's land that's needed for industrial, like we were talking about, right? And those things take time. And there is, I mean, mind-blowing amounts of these projects coming into these areas where we're investing. And there's only so much zoned land for these things
Right.
inside of city limits. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So those kind of zoned properties, and I myself, I put my money where my mouth is. I personally own 13 parcels of land, which are spread across various different types of zonings. And for example, I have a property that I bought for $1.15 per square foot. It's 1.83 acres of light industrial land, which is needed for huge distribution facilities. I bought it in 2014, November of 2014. 2.5 years later, in 2017, I was already receiving 365, 500,000, over $600,000 offers on that property that I bought for $92,000. Because of I'm going back to, the ports of LA, ports of Long Beach, industry, manufacturing, all of that plays into this. So
Okay,
understanding
hold
the
on. I
economics of
just
it.
something just flashed on me. Now you're in on these properties alone, right? You're not in with. Okay, now, and I understand that these are just dirt. So it's not improved property. Um, so you have to pay taxes on that during as property taxes, which, I'm sure on unimproved land is as cheap as it could be out in nowhere until nowhere becomes somewhere.
And I
Uh,
wouldn't say nowhere. There has to be existing
yeah,
and new
you're right.
developments
I
within
got
three
it.
miles.
I got it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how does someone get started with this? You would facilitate it, or you're the realtor? You're the realtor?
Yeah, so I have a real estate license, and the
Okay.
company I work with, they are my broker, and they're the
Okay.
ones who do all of the due diligence on the properties, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
I educate investors about the opportunity. So if someone says, "Yeah, I want to do this thing," we get into the details of how much money they want to invest, where that's coming from, that type of thing, and then I get a property that fits what they're looking for. And we go through a traditional escrow process. It's very easy, probably easier than buying a car. And then they're a landowner. They get the grant deed, title insurance. And so after that, we're constantly updating our investors so they can stay tuned in to all the things that are happening, where their properties are. And then when they start receiving offer letters from developers who want to purchase these properties or consolidators who are trying to consolidate large amounts of land together, we will then help them to negotiate to get the highest and best price for their property. And we don't charge anything for that either. So we want them to do well and possibly buy more, refer their family,
Yeah.
but we want them to win.
So if someone has an IRA and they don't want to, they're nervous, so they don't want to invest their whole IRA in
Sure.
some land. Say they want to buy one parcel for $50,000. Could they just pull that from the standard IRA and then do the what do you call it? Self-directed?
Self-directed IRA,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yep.
they could do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Lots of good stuff here for lots of people. So I guess they would just start by probably watching your webinar and then calling you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Watch my webinar, get in touch with me, and then I help people. Another thing that a lot of people are doing too is 1031 exchanges. So I've worked with a lot of folks who've, acquired a lot of rental properties over the years, and now they're like, having rental properties is driving me absolutely insane. I want to start getting rid of some of these, but I like the growth in real estate.
Right.
So they sell these properties, do what's called a 1031 exchange to avoid paying capital gains taxes. Yay, use the government's money to invest, and then they acquire land with us that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. And again, I'm sure this is something you cover. I'm thinking about this only because here at my house, I think I deal with stuff like this.
Sure.
Are there any tax benefits during the year or because of owning this property that is a benefit to the owner?
Sure. I mean,
By paying property taxes. Obviously, there's no maintenance on this property. So is there any way else that somebody who invests can see this as a benefit?
sure. So, like I mentioned, the 1031 exchanges, there's avoiding
Oh,
capital
sorry,
gains.
you seem to think we all know what a 1031 exchange is. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was going to
sorry,
ask.
John. So 1030, what a 1031 exchange is, it's a tax code, and basically it says if you have an investment property, that could be a rental house, that could be a building, it could be land,
Right.
and you sell it to avoid paying capital gains taxes, people go through something called a 1031 exchange and buy replacement properties in that 1031 exchange. So whatever they've reinvested through the
Got it.
1031 exchange, they don't pay capital gains taxes on.
Got it.
Yeah. And then there's the self-directed IRA aspect of it. So here's an example. I have a lady, she bought a property, 20 acres for only 80 grand. She bought it with her Roth IRA. So with Roth IRAs, these are post-tax dollars. So she already
Right.
paid the taxes on the 80 grand. Well, she just sold that property for 900,000. All of that proceeds are going to go back into her IRA tax
Tax
free,
free.
and she never pays taxes on it because it's a Roth IRA.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
I'm super excited for her.
It's good to know tax law.
Yeah, those aspects of things I'm aware of. I'm not a tax person, please
Right.
note.
Right. Or just have a good tax attorney, I guess, or
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
accountant.
An
Wow.
accountant that knows what they're doing, because
Yeah.
I've met accountants who
Right.
don't even know what self-directed IRAs are.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to know all those laws, all those little things.
For sure.
So wow. So behind you, John was asking this earlier, what is all the solar stuff back there? Is
Yeah,
that something people are buying land for to put solar panels on?
100%. So actually, that solar field right behind me is owned by Warren Buffett. It's a 9 square mile solar project in these area where we're investing. So there's land needed for community growth, and then there's land needed to power everything. So right now, globally, we're going through a huge transition around energy and energy sources. And without going into all of the details behind it, and I mean, there's so much, but the basics of it is here in California specifically, starting back all the way to 2002 with Governor Schwarzenegger, who you mentioned earlier, he started the mandates to move California in a greener, cleaner direction. And since then, multiple mandates have been put in place. The
Mhm.
kind of overarching big goal is Senate Bill 100 that says by the year 2045, 100% of California's energy must come from alternative energy sources. And so as a result of that, we know exactly where these projects are going based off of environment. So you want to have a lot of sun exposure, you want to have a lot of flat land, you
Hmm.
want to have developable land,
Right.
you want it to be private land, and need the necessary infrastructure, so the high tension power lines out there. Because some people say, "Oh, I got land, I want to put solar on it." Okay, is there billions of dollars in infrastructure there? No, sorry.
Right.
So knowing where those things are going, and it is absolutely mind blowing how much money has been invested in this to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, and how much land has already been consumed, and how much more is going to be needed moving
Right.
forward, especially with new emerging technologies that are happening right now. So everything needs
Wow.
energy,
Yeah.
everything needs land.
Yeah.
It's those fundamental assets and resources that we invest in to help hedge against downturns in other markets.
That's right.
Wow. Fascinating. Who would have known? I never would have thought of this, except, like I said, years and years ago, decades ago, this guy was telling me about this land that he bought up north of LA, and which I thought was just silly. I thought, well, okay.
That's what
But
most people think. You tell them you're buying land. Why? Why? You're crazy. Why would
what do
you
you,
do that?
well, my thought would be, what are you going to put on it? Are you going to build a
Right.
house on it?
Right.
That I'm thinking, or a bunch of houses or but you're not a developer. So
Right.
why would you buy it if you're not a developer? So you can sell it to a developer later.
That's
Make
Exactly.
right.
money.
I'm a lazy investor, Kelly.
I like it. I'm with you. Easy. We won't say lazy.
Yes.
Easy. We like,
Exactly. Simple, easy. I'm all for it. Make money from
yeah.
it. Yes. All
Yes.
kinds of efforting and stress. No.
Yes. Yeah. And risk. I'm always adverse to high risk. I
Yeah.
like to play it more safe.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like
Yeah,
we
but
would
if
need
if
someone like
if
you.
if a company with a track record of knowing where to do this, how to do this, looks for all of, again, I'm going to assume the company that you're associated with has an outstanding track record in this, and they know all of the pitfalls of pretty much what's going on, what to look for that makes it a positive, and the things that make it a negative, and just simply will walk away from a negative. They're not in it to lose money,
Mm-hmm. 100%.
or on a chance. Uh,
100%.
so
That's why we
okay.
have over 40,000 investors who've invested with us
Wow.
over the years.
Wow. So you gave us a story about how you invested in a piece of property and people went from 90,000 to up to 600,000. Do you have any other stories like that without giving away who the person is or any other happy stories?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll share one specifically around the green energy parcels that we have. I have a lady, she's a single mother, works very hard. She bought a 10-acre parcel with us for $75,000. And last year, she signed a 35-year land lease. So she's leasing the land
She still owns
to
it.
a battery energy storage system company who's leasing it for over 80% return to her annually.
Oh, nice.
So she makes her initial investment back in the first less than 2 years.
Yeah. Wow.
And the rest is all gravy. She's going to make over $3 million in land lease on this property. And in the end, she still owns the land. And there's
So
no
yeah, I was
fixing it
just
up.
going to say they didn't even want to buy the
They're
property,
leasing it. So
so
it's
they built the structure on it,
they build the thing.
under the laws that have to be followed in order to build that kind of facility, and then leased it for 30 something years.
35 years.
And at any time, can she sell it?
I'm sure she could if she wanted to. I mean,
Right.
she would
But the
probably
lease
sell
would
it.
probably have to be honored. Should sell it with
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
lease.
whoever she
Yeah.
sells it to, she literally sells the lease, and they
which
have
I
to
don't know
honor
why
that.
she would want to,
Right. Yeah.
honestly, but
Unless they offered her like 5 million or something and she just wanted to get rid of it. Um, so
Yeah, somebody might want to give her a big upfront amount of money just and
yeah,
she can get out. I mean,
yeah.
no, just who knows? Maybe right now she's not young. Let's just say if it was somebody who was 55, you really
Yeah.
don't care about a 35-year lease.
Right. Right.
Give me some, let's do this for about 10, 15 years and then give me a buyout or something.
Yeah.
sure.
Something. As long
Yeah.
as that's always possible, you
Yeah.
Everyone
know.
has their unique situations, and I
Yeah,
mean, ultimately, she owns the land. She has the grant deed.
right.
Wow.
All right.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it.
Let's see what else. So, how do people contact you, Marcella?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say start by going to dirtisgold.com.
Yeah, we're gonna put all
Right
that down in the description.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
there you can log in
Okay.
to get the webinar and you'll get my contact information there. So you can reach out to me. Also,
Okay.
my email is marcella@dirtisgold.com. Make it easy.
So have you sent us the link to your webinar or is it just on your website? What do you want
Yeah,
me
it's
to
just
put
on the
in
website there.
Okay.
So dirtisgold.com. I think I also gave you guys
Sign
the
up
link.
here to learn more?
Yeah. And I also have a YouTube
Okay.
channel.
Okay. I'll put that on too.
Yeah.
People can see
Okay.
that too.
Yeah, I have both of them pulled up here.
This,
So
this
we'll
is
put links to both of those so people can find you and learn more about it and maybe invest and make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
yeah, thank
I
you.
love
Thanks
making
so
people
much.
money.
Oh,
Isn't
our
that fun?
pleasure.
I
Our
always
pleasure.
thought if I could do any job and pick whatever I want to be a game show host.
Oh, I love it.
Isn't that kind of like the same thing? You're like giving people money, giving people prizes. That would be my favorite job ever. I would just love
Doing
that
the
job.
Vanna White.
Yeah. Well, I would want to be the one that gives the prizes away.
Yeah.
You
Oh my gosh.
win!
That
Yeah.
would be amazing, right?
And I would feel like your job is a little bit like that because you know
It
people.
is. When I'm
Yeah.
helping people make a lot of money,
Yeah,
I mean, I
but
would.
don't get me wrong though. the end of at the end of the game show, they either win or they lose.
Well,
Here,
yes, they might.
you got to wait like several years before we send you the check. But it's still
Still, it's a win.
it's a
It's a
secure
big
way to
win.
do it,
Yeah.
and that's just it. That's what I like about it. It's a secure way of doing it, and again, of course, there are the tax situations that have to be dealt with. But if it's to your benefit, if it could be done to your
Yeah.
benefit.
Yeah. It seems like a winning situation, I would say most of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, everything's a risk, and okay, before we say goodbye, I just want to say thank you to Monica Wells, who introduced us to you. And I am wearing, Monica Wells has a company called Keka Usna, which is why we were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, because we were talking about names that are hard to remember. And so this is her lipstick. That I always wear when we do our podcast. So I always like to give a little shout out to her. I am not paid for this at all. She doesn't pay me a penny, and I rarely even talk to her, but I always I love her lipstick and lip glosses so much that I always try to give a little plug.
Same.
And yeah.
She has
Yeah.
great
She's
lipstick. I
awesome
use
and
it
what she
too.
did starting out her own business. And I love hearing these stories. I love it, and love hearing your story too. So
And
thank
that's
you.
just it. After a period of time, when you have other things that you want to tell us about, other, I'm sure the same form of investments, but other great
Yeah.
stories that you want to talk about, or anything else that you're able to offer to people.
Yeah, let us know if anything steers in a different
Absolutely.
direction, or if you have a story you want to share with us. Please let us know, and we would love to have you back.
Awesome. I
I think
appreciate
our
that.
audience will be interested. I think everybody would be interested in hearing about this. So
Yep,
We
yep.
have
thank you.
so
Yeah.
many things to share. Thank you guys so much.
Yes,
I really
thank you.
appreciate being
Okay.
here.
Our
All
pleasure.
right. Good
Hang
luck
Peace
to
and
on
you.
blessings to
hang on
everyone.
after we disconnect. Hang on.
Okay. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Take care, folks.
All views expressed in this video belong to Kellie Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain.
Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kellie and John.